Welcome to the NEREJ NYREJ podcast. I'm your host, Rick Kaplan. And today we have a very interesting guest from the New York market. And his name is Tallal Bhutta, and he is with BDB Construction Enterprise. And he is going to tell us a little bit about how his journey went to get to where he is today. Good morning, Tallal.
Good morning, Rick. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So tell us a little bit how you got to where you are.
It all started in 1992. My uncle, who happens to be a general contractor in New York, he called up my dad and they were discussing about my academics, and they were, I used to be good in mathematics and, sciences. So my uncle gave a suggestion that there's a lot of scope in New York if he does engineering and construction. And since he was in the field, and my father agreed to his suggestion, and that is when it came in their mind and it was set in my mind. And after that, my journey has been towards this goal, and it is a dream come true for me. So it has been a long, long time since I wanted to be who I am today. I have gotten education focused towards this. I am fortunate enough to be one of the few people who actually uses their education in what they do on a daily basis. I have done a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from NYU. I have done a master's in construction management from Stevens Institute of Technology and a master's in structural engineering from Stevens Institute of Technology. This was very helpful for me, this kind of educational background in what I do. I have field experience. I have lived with construction workers. I have spent a lot of time actually in the field. This was very important for me to understand the psychology of the construction market, of the job site, how things are moved smoothly, how to handle job site conditions, how to handle disputes, how to handle unforeseen conditions, how to handle design changes in a timely fashion. We make sure that the project schedule is not affected, no matter what. A job site is full of surprises. You have curveballs throughout the cycle of the project, but we don't let it affect the schedule. And we have proven it so many times that, I have done over 1 million square foot of renovation without the schedule getting affected.
So it sounds like you have an interesting background because you has studied the construction industry, engineering, and you also grew up in the business. So you grew up with a kind of a background,
Yes.
And it's almost like a remodeling type of business.
Yes.
Yeah, and now you're took it into a much larger scale.
Yes. When I connect the dots, when I look back, I was at certain places. I think I was at the right place at the right time. When I was living with the workers, construction workers, I was learning how they operate, what their psychology is. When I was doing bad in school, I was spending more time in the field as a punishment. But it helped, wherever I was
Right.
throughout my career. If in the beginning, I didn't do well in school, but that was a blessing. If I would have done good, I would have just gone and worked in an engineering office, and that would have been the end of it. So when I connect the dots now, I was at the right place at the right time. From my, my uncle was my mentor for the first 6 years. That was a blessing. I did bad in school. He sent me to the field in the beginning. That was a blessing. And then later on, as I matured, I went back to school because I was good. I had a good foundation. I finished up my degrees. That was a blessing. So I think I was at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, but I like your story because you're a guy that likes to hands-on training. You like to be able to touch and feel what you're doing and have people show you the way is, as opposed to And you do have the ability to read about it and learn about it, but you like to actually get in there and do it, right?
Yes, yes, yes. And that is extremely important for project success. A lot of people, don't go in that direction. And the job sites get delayed. You have scheduling disasters, you have cost overruns, but it's as simple as that. Field experience is the key. Uh, Whether you're an engineer or an architect or a construction manager trying to run a construction project, if you don't have field experience, you won't be able to go in the right direction.
So it's kind of difficult for someone that works for you to tell you, oh, we can't do that. That's going to be another 5 or 6 weeks before we can finish that because you have done it before.
I
You've been in that position.
absolutely, you exactly got that right. That I have my first project was a $500 project. So that's where I started. I was doing steps for somebody at a private house, masonry steps. So from there, I'm doing multi-million-dollar projects. So my due to my humble beginnings, I'm able to predict challenges very well in every situation. I'm able to design crew sizes, come up with the right production rates to meet the schedule, and then we have a very good mindset when it comes to dealing with the customers. We believe in partnership. We look at the big picture. Job sites have surprises, but we don't try to, create a big fuss over it. We look at the target, we have the target in mind, and it pays.
I mean, I've always found that people that have been in the business or actually even grew up in the business, and have worked in the business from the ground up, they kind of understand a lot more on what has to be done, and that's what makes them more successful than someone that just, you know, I think I'm going to start up a construction business and I'll hire a bunch of people that know construction. They don't really know what it really takes, but they're going to hire people that know what it takes. So they don't understand. There's kind of a different mindset between the two people, where you understand what it takes and the people that are working for you, they need to know what it takes because they can't fool you. And as a result, the job gets done better and quicker.
Yes, you have to classify your human resource in certain categories. Like just like a soccer game, some people play at the front, some play in the middle, some play at the back, and you have a goalie. So everybody should be used where they are supposed to be used. You can only do that if you have field experience yourself. If you are familiar with the person's production rate. A person who is good at doing sheetrock might not be good at doing painting. So you have to use him at sheetrock. Similarly, a flooring guy might not be good at doing plastering work. So, and then production rates also differ between workers. You could have a floor A, very quick, and then a floor B, slow. You could have floor A, who's very good at leveling floors. You could have another guy who's very good at, doing base molding. So you have to classify your human resource. And then another very important issue, you have to divide the work between your own crews and your subcontractors. Sometimes it's more efficient to do things yourself. Sometimes it's more efficient to give it to somebody else. So, it's a constant planning and constant mix of, duties that you have to plan. Otherwise, it's not possible to finish things on time.
So is it easier as a construction guy to remodel existing property or build from ground up? I mean, obviously, ground up, you don't have any obstacles in the way, but time-wise, is remodeling or refurbishing a quicker process? or a longer process?
That is a very interesting question. Uh, People call me about ground up construction and they ask me, do you do ground up? And I'm like, it's not profitable enough. And they are like, why? I said, because it's simple. It's like Lego. You just do one floor, you do the second, you do the third, you do the fourth, and you're done. Unless you are building on a lot line with a neighbor and you have these disputes. Other than that, new construction should not have too many surprises. Uh, you know, Below surface stuff like a water line getting blocked by a sewer line, that I understand. But above the ground, you shouldn't have too many surprises. But renovation is a very, very complex chain of events because we don't know what's happening behind the walls, existing walls. We don't know what's happening behind the ceilings. We don't know the condition of the existing plumbing pipes. We don't know the condition of the existing electrical pipes. And we are being asked to deliver a building in 6 months, which people take years to finish. And I definitely rate renovation and remodeling as an art. It is, it is definitely rewarding, challenging, and very, very exciting as compared to new construction.
So you never know when you're doing a remodel or refurbish or a retrofit or whatever term you want to call it. You don't know what you're getting into, even though you go in and you bid on that job. So you have to have some kind of a cushion in there when you are estimating this. Is that correct?
Yeah, the cushion has to be there, but you don't want to lose the job either by putting a big cushion. So you have to be very tactful. It has to be a balance between, having a cushion or an allowance, as we call it in our industry, and having the right price. So we do typically these projects have design documents, you have drawings, that are prepared by an architect, typically hired by the owner before we start work. But a lot of this critical information that I just mentioned to you is missing on the drawings. So what happens? Start having delays. You will have architects visits, they'll come to the site, you'll do probes, you'll find out what's happening, and then you'll go back and forth, which adds time to the project. So if the client doesn't have any time, they have to finish the building in 6 months, otherwise it's not worth it for them. What do? You have to, be proactive. You have to be able to predict challenges based on your experience and your knowledge, and you have to come up with solutions as soon as the challenge is about to hit you. So, plus lead times are very, very important. Certain equipment, materials, they are not available on time. So you have to be proactive and you have to tell the architect that, listen, this is not going to be available. So what should we do? This is a substitute here. Instead of waiting for the problem to happen, you have to be proactive and jump to everything before it turns out into a problem.
So what happens when you get involved in this project that you give an estimate on, and I'm sure you have certain clauses in your estimate that if we run into this type of situation, we could be another week added to this, or it could be another $50,000, up to 50,000 added to the job, all depending on what we find. And you get involved in it, and they give you this design of a project, and then you find there's certain obstructions there that make it almost impossible for you to be able to do that design. What happens at that point?
So that's a very good question. We like to go back to our clients with solutions, not problems. This is our mindset. We act more like partners, or you could even say owner's representative than contractors. Because we know, although the standard contract has clauses in there that allow us additional time, but we know in the back of our mind that the owner doesn't have additional time. It will affect his leasing strategy or his revenue strategy. So we know that we have to come up with solutions no matter what. We do whatever it takes to finish the project on time. And that, thankfully we have done several buildings in the past to prove that, and that's the mindset.
Now, a property owner that wants to remodel their or retrofit or whatever we want to call it today,
Yes.
that wants to do that property over, and they get involved in this whole process. Is there a way that before they even start, that is there any due diligence that they should do to so they don't get this shock? Well, now I got to put another $100,000 into this property. Is there anything they should do as a property owner before they go out and get the estimate? Any kind of due diligence should they?
I would suggest that a property owner should always involve people who have field experience in the planning phase. A lot of times, property owners only involve architects and engineers, which is great. You need them to do your layouts and drawings and whatnot. But people with the construction experience and know-how should be part of the planning phase. So there are no gaps. You want to make sure what's being drawn on the drawings is available, lead time wise, is doable, means and method wise, in a timely fashion, and so on and so forth. So that is where the problems take place. People who draw this stuff don't have field experience, and people who have field experience, when they look at the stuff, they come up with so many changes, and that is where the conflict starts. And it's a never-ending saga sometimes. If the contractor is not flexible, or the owner, or both, I've seen projects that go on for years. There's several times that I finish a building and then I go back to the same building after 5 years, and the neighbor is still doing his renovation. So, it's a never-ending thing if it's not done properly.
Now, before you start any of these projects, if you go to the city or the town hall and you go and find the original plans for that property, do you do that?
So most of the time they're not available, even if you try to do that. So, and even if they are, a lot of times they are inaccurate. Um, you could hire somebody to do as-builts, which is again, a time-consuming exercise sometimes. So there's a lot of due diligence involved on my part. I definitely go beyond the duties of my contract to finish on time. And that is the mindset, to whatever it takes to finish it on time.
Okay, but I'm just trying to figure how easy is it to figure out how to get that job done on time when you don't know what you're going to run into. But you're saying you do enough of this type of a project that you have a great idea about how long.
Yes, yes, yes. We stick to our experience base, like projects that we have experience with. We only market what we are good at. Like, we like new construction. I'm doing developments for myself, but I don't really get involved with that. I'm only doing remodeling because this is what I do. When I started, I used to be a waterproofing contractor, but eventually waterproofing and masonry, I eventually transitioned into being a remodeling general contractor. And now all my marketing efforts are geared towards that because this is what I do and this is what I'm good at. So it's all based on experience and knowledge.
Now, how many calls do you get where someone has hired someone to do a rebuild or whatever, and the person that was doing it found that, oh, I can't do it because there's this obstruction. Something is causing them to halt their work because they have to either rebuild a certain part of the building or replace certain things, and they didn't account for that. And now the owner of the property says, well, what are you going to do? And they say, well, it's going to be another month or 2 months before we can get to, and the property owner says, well, forget it. I'm going to stop it right now and I'm going to look for someone else. How many calls do you get like that where they call you in and want to do?
Not a lot. We don't get into that kind of situation that much because typically at that time the owners are really jammed with budgets, and it's not like, and it's not a thing that we would like to take, because the owners has typically already spent the budget on somebody else, and he's already frustrated. And we prefer not to get involved with something like that. But it's a common thing, when I'm sitting in meetings, I hear about projects, I hear about from architects, from owners, other projects, I hear about them all the time, and it's
Right.
a very common thing, what you are referring to.
So, I would have thought you would have been called like right away. People want to, oh, well, this guy, I made a mistake. I hired the wrong guy, and I should have called Tallal,
Yeah,
and
what
he,
we get when we get a call from somebody, a new call, the person usually says that, you came recommended, and we did something with somebody else in the past and we were not happy. That is common. But an ongoing project, we don't get involved that much, or we don't get calls, or we're not even interested in something like that, because that's already exhausted. But definitely, when we get a new call, that's what the client typically says, that they're unhappy with their previous experiences.
okay, I can see that. So, Tallal, tell me what type of works that do you do? You just do these remodel jobs, or do you do a build, your ground up build?
So we do remodeling, and I would say building conversions. You're converting. We converted a hotel into student apartments. We converted a factory into a church and commercial space. So building conversion also falls under remodeling. It has a lot of code compliance issues involved, because you're converting a building. That makes our job more exciting. You're dealing with so many different trades, making sure you comply with the new codes and timely completion. So that is our focus. And then renovations. Renovations are basically just cosmetic upgrades of an existing interior space. You do a new lobby, a new, hallways. In terms of an apartment renovation, you could do new kitchen cabinets, new flooring, new vanity, new LED lighting, painting, window shades. These are basic items that we do to upgrade typical apartment. So this is our main focus.
Almost like a property management uh, type of uh, upgrade,
I would say property improvement, like
improvement.
management is falls really under maintenance. Uh, we are not maintenance, we are construction. So
So no, you don't do any ground up construction though?
I have done, as a matter of fact, I just finished something in Manhattan, a small ground up, two-family residence. I have done for myself, but this is something that I find not as profitable as renovation, quite honestly, and not as exciting either, because it's really doing the same thing over and over again. Whether you're doing a single story or a 10-story, you just add those floors up and you come, it's the same exact thing. It's not as exciting as remodeling. So we mostly do renovations and remodeling.
So what areas do you work in? Do you go outside of New York City, or you do everything outside of New York City?
So we were New York based. That's where we did most of the business and all of the business originally. But my client has bought properties outside of New York, and he wanted assistance with those. So I have worked in Rhode Island, close to Brown University. I did a very, challenging exterior restoration project there on a historical building, which he wanted assistance with. I've done apartment upgrades in that building. And then I've worked in California. That was a very interesting, task. I had to upgrade a 75 apartment building, and he only had 6 weeks. So he asked me, can you please, help us with that? So I did that last summer, and I was by UC Berkeley. We finished 75 apartments in 6 weeks. That's new kitchens, new flooring, new painting. So we have gone as far as California for a client.
Well, that's just a
New
proof.
Jersey.
That's just very good proof of how good your work can be in the time frame that you set it for.
Yes, it was I rate it as a very, very special project because it was so long distance for me. I had to go there multiple times to get my license because I wanted to get my license before doing anything. And when I went there to take the 8-hour exam, I told the other exam takers, I said, I came from New York, and they were all laughing. Like, what is this? We have never seen anything like this. So that was very, very, fun and exciting. I like to take on challenges. That is, that's the way I am. So I took on the challenge, and it was a very, very fun experience. I'm just involved in something in New Jersey, close to NJIT. We're doing a large 235 apartment building. He only had 2 months this year and 2 months next year to do the whole 235 units. So we did half of it this year, half of it we're doing next year. We also gave common spaces, amenities. That is a very, very big factor in improvement. If you give game rooms, student lounges, quiet study areas to an existing apartment building, student apartment building, it improves the overall experience of the residents. So that has been it, like basically.
Well, that's impressive that you got called to do those apartments in California because although, I don't know how the work force is in California, but they call you come all the way across the country to do a job because they need it done in a certain time frame, so
Yes, and they are California based.
yeah.
So it was, I'm proud of that achievement.
Now, have you gotten more calls from California, seeing how now you have a license to do the work there?
For the same client, we'll be doing something else in California. And
Oh, for
then,
the same client, yeah.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Now, is that an affordable property, affordable housing property?
This is going to be residential apartments. I'm not sure if it's part of any public program or affordable, housing program. I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, because I have a friend that she does that type of work also, but it's only for the company that owns all these affordable housing
Right,
projects.
right. Some people just do, stay with that, both in design and construction.
But they definitely are under a time restraint because they only get so much funding to do the projects.
Yes,
So it has to be
that
done by a certain time.
yeah, that is a typical, that is something we love.
So you like to be under a lot of stress.
Yes, life is stressful, and that is why the first thing I do, I spend an hour in the gym, and I just finished my exercise. Without that, I can't go through the day.
You spend an
Uh,
hour at the gym before you start work.
yes, yes, that's a routine. And I have transformed my physique based on my workload over the past few years, and it has been very exciting and fun.
Well, good for you.
Thank you.
So now it gives you the energy to keep building on your business.
Yes, 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 absolutely.
I should take a lesson from you.
Thank you.
I got to do that one of these days.
Thank you.
I mean, you're a young guy. I'm an old man, so it's a little different. But I've already passed those stages.
I think you can always make a change in your lifestyle. I've seen people do marathon training when they're in their 60s and 70s, and even older. So
Right. It helps your mind as well.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Otherwise you can buy. I credit my father for that. He was a soldier,
Right.
and he said if you're not physically strong, you can do it. Can make it.
So Tallal, if someone has a project available or wants to start a project and they want to get a hold of you, do you have a website?
Yes, we do have a website,
Which,
which is revised every couple of years. And it is www.bdbenterprise.com. That is our website.
okay. And they can, if they have a project in New York or in California, right? They can contact you.
Yes,
You want to start anywhere else around the country? And,
depends. It depends on the project.
oh,
It
so
depends.
if they have a big project in Texas somewhere, we might go.
Absolutely, yes. It's not
Okay.
as far as California.
All right. Because this is a podcast and people listen to it all over the world. So you never know. You could be get a call in Central America somewhere, who
So,
knows?
yeah, let's hope for the best.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you, Tallal.
Thank you,
And
Sam. Here, it was a pleasure meeting you, Rick. And thank you for the interview.
well, and I wish you lots of luck. Keep up
Thank you so much.
the good work. Today we're talking with Tallal Bhutta from BDB Construction Enterprises in New York. And I'm Rick Kaplan from the New England and New York Real Estate Journal. Until next time.